Hey there everybody, redxparasite here, and welcome back to Let's Play Metroid Prime 3. In the last episode, we stormed the pirate cargo line leading to the Seed, we went to the pirate homeworld Seed, and we defeated Omega Ridley. So, in this episode, we need to board the Leviathan ship that's in orbit around the pirate homeworld, so that we can open up a wormhole and get to Phaaze. So, this is going to be the last episode of the main series. It's probably going to be a bit long, because Phaaze is a decently long area.
Most of the pirates have retreated underground, but you'll still need to stay on guard through these sections.
So, I'm going to try to get the wormhole open and get things on the road as quickly as I can. So, the area that we need to go to is the command center. So, I'm going to open up my map, and we need to go to here, because our goal is the transit station. So, let's go to level 2. And if you remember in the command center, there was a weird-looking Phazon growth that we really couldn't do anything about. Well, now that we have the hyper grapple, we can. So it will only be a few moments before we can get to some new stuff. A boost to get through. Not really that much quicker, and it's not like it mattered because the door is still loaded. But here is the room, and here is the thing. So let's go into hyper mode and give it some Phazon energy. And actually, compared to the normal grapple voltage, your health doesn't sap down nearly as quickly with the hyper grapple, which, you know, is a nice little perk. So we're gonna have to activate this and go through the whole process of riding the train out to this thing, then, you know, doing our business there, and then riding the train back, and then going back to our ship. Not really sure why they put this in an entirely different area, such that you have to take a train all the way to get there. They really could have just put it right here off the command center, but oh well, nothing I can really do to change it. But for those wondering, that pirate code that we got back on the GFS Valhalla, that we didn't know what it was at the time, if you get to this point and you're arriving at this area and you don't have the code yet, you won't actually be able to control the Leviathan without that code. So I would advise that you get to the end of the GFS Valhalla before you come to this area, otherwise you're just kind of wasting your time. So, right, we can't get down, we need morph ball bombs. We can't get down directly there because there's a force field in our way, so we have to roll past it. And then now we can drop this force field from this side. And that will actually grant us access to the teleporter that leads to the Leviathan. So, there's not much to do here. There is actually a friend voucher that you can get if you shoot these little eye things on the wall enough times, and I don't know the exact count on this, but if you do it for long enough, you'll get a friend voucher for humiliating the Leviathan. So, now that we've done that, let's use that code that we got on the Valhalla, and we can now control the Leviathan. So, fun thing, you're going to get a communication from the Federation here, and if you wait long enough, you can have it appear here. Then you can go into the teleporter. That's going to show up again.
Samus, we have gained control of the Leviathan.
And, you know, if you're going through this quickly enough, you could get back onto this before you finish going through it. In which case, you can have it start over again. And, I don't know, I just find it kind of funny that in order to force you to listen to them, if you ever go through a cutscene, or you know, you fly somewhere else or whatever, it'll load the clip again from the beginning. So if you actually advance the clip and then use an elevator or whatever, the clip will still start over from the very beginning. We'll listen to it this time, I swear.
Samus, we have gained control of the Leviathan. Now we'll be able to open a wormhole and warp to Phaaze. It's time to end this. Once you rendezvous with the fleet, we'll head straight into the belly of the beast. I look forward to fighting alongside you again, Samus. Godspeed.
Okay. Nope, and we got another one.
Indeed, Samus. Once you join the fleet and the wormhole to Phaaze is opened, there is no turning back. Please be sure to prepare yourself. We wish you the best of luck. Samus, we have received new data from AU-217.
This is just like all the communications right now.
A planet was detected at the epicenter from where the Leviathan telemetry originated. We have named this planet Phaaze.
There's the game, I think, officially calling it Phaaze for the first time. So the game gives you a warning that once you join the Federation fleet to attack Phaaze, that's it. You can't go back and do anything. So that's the point where you will not be able to go back and save your game afterwards. So if you have any business to take care of, like picking up more items, getting any scans, make sure that you do that before you meet up or rendezvous with the Federation. Now, in our case, we have all the scans we need. We have all of the upgrades as well. So we're all good to go. We just head straight there. Which we will be doing. So once we actually get back out into the galaxy map here, there is a new landing site called Phaaze. So let's make our way there.
Sir, Samus's ship has joined the fleet.
Thank you, Ensign. Leviathan Command, you are clear to fire the portal beam. Once the wormhole is open, order all ships to enter.
Affirmative, Admiral. Message to all ships. Prepare for entry. Maintain battle formation timeless.
So that's a really great cutscene. Really like how they actually show the Federation doing stuff instead of it just being a, oh, this thing's going on, trust us. But, of course, Samus's objective is not to be fighting the space pirates in space. We're going to be landing on the planet and trying to take out Dark Samus. Okay, let's see. This is a fungus. Not actually a scan, though. Are you a scan? No. Alright, well, let's walk off our ship here. Due to critical levels of internal Phazon corruption, the emergency vent override has been triggered by the PED suit. All acquired energy tanks have been vented to temporarily prevent total corruption. Hypermode weapons no longer require the extinguishing of an energy tank to use. You are now permanently in hypermode. Fortunately, this vent override can no longer be used. Damage as well as exposure to Phaze's atmosphere will continue to raise your Phazon level. Your Phazon level is shown as a yellow bar on the top of the HUD. If your Phazon level fills completely, you will die. So this area has a very interesting mechanic in that instead of having your traditional health bar, you have this yellow bar at the top of your HUD. Now, let's see. Okay, we already scanned those. I'm making sure that I don't want to miss any of the scans, because there are some, obviously, scans only that you can get here on Phaaze. But being in the atmosphere will raise your health level, and so will getting damaged by enemies. Now, the interesting thing is that depending on how many energy tanks you have, you'll only have a certain amount of the bar at the top available. So if you collected 7 out of the 14 energy tanks, you'd only be able to get up to half of the bar full until you die. Since, we collected all 14 here, we get to use the entire bar. So that is one thing to keep in mind that makes this section particularly difficult if you're doing it with very few energy tanks. Our ship will no longer recognize us at this point because we are too corrupted. So we have a door. But the advantage though is that we're permanently in hyper mode. So let's give me some scans starting off here. So this is a gel sac. Inflates as a defense measure, can explode and release venom. Gel sacs are aggressive creatures roaming their territory and defending it from all comers. When provoked, a gel sac will quickly expand its body, filling it with a caustic Phazon-based venom. This continues until the gel sac explodes, sending a spray of deadly fluid in all directions. So with these, best thing to do is to take them out from a distance so that you are not within their blast radius. One thing that the game did not mention about our new mechanics is that we actually can get quote-unquote health back in terms of getting these, I think they're called anti-Phazon units. And so it will basically lower the meter by a certain amount. And that's how you actually prevent yourself from dying quickly. So in this room there are some black Phazon crystals, have hardened over time, vulnerable to heavy blasts. The hardened exterior of black Phazon crystals is resistant to normal attacks. These structures will form naturally over time in areas with high amounts of Phazon. It is commonly mined by space pirates for use in producing trooper armor, but loses its darkened appearance in the process. And then this is also a scan. Phazon fungus. Grows only in highly corrupted regions vulnerable to weapon fire. Soft bodies of Phazon fungus are easily damaged by weapon fire. These organisms are commonly found in areas that are highly concentrated with Phazon. The growths can be highly destructive and will feed on any organic matter. As the fungus grows, it corrupts the surrounding area further and will continue to spread out. So the Phazon hoppers in this room, you can scan them on the Valhalla, and of course you can also get the scan here if you need it. One thing also that is different between normal hyper mode and this is we can use all of our visors in this version of hyper mode. The cool thing about using the hyper grapple is that giving away energy, as in overloading things with energy, is actually a good thing because it lowers the bar. So you want to do that instead of drawing in energy from enemies. Phazon tendrils will tangle anything that gets too close, but can't grab smooth surfaces. So you're going to want to go through this section in the morph ball. And we also, for reference, have access to the hyper ball, but we can't use normal bombs anymore. So I'm going to destroy that from down here. One way that you can lower your health bar is by overloading the phasings here with energy. So anytime you see one of those, just overload it with energy, and you can basically get yourself down to the bottom of the health bar fairly easily. Let's see. I think we're pretty much good for this one. In terms of, I don't think there's anything new for us to scan here. I'm pretty sure, yeah, because that's just a normal door. Yep, and I fell down. Oops. Yeah, well, it's not too much of a setback. So, again, I really like the atmosphere here on Phaaze. I think they did a great job of... This is a great final area in terms of design and sound and all that. Okay. We have a section where we're going to need to use the morph ball a bit here, so I'm going to use the hyper ball to destroy these growths, and that'll destroy the big red growth there in the middle, and allow us to go forward. Now, as you can probably tell, our health bar is raising by quite a quick rate. Okay, so right here we have something. This is a Phazon puffer. Now, these can be a good thing because you saw right there that it just sucked up all of the Phazon in our health bar. But if you leave them alone for too long, they will expel the energy that they have stored up from you, and it does a lot of damage. So you really do not want to let these things do that, because otherwise you're going to be in trouble. This particular breed of puffer has been heavily mutated by exposure to Phazon, giving it strange new abilities. As it flies, it searches the area for Phazon energy to consume. The puffer will absorb this energy out of any nearby bioform and energize itself. The puffer will then use the energy to fire a powerful attack back at their target. This ability comes with a price. The Phazon energy comprising their body is rather unstable and easily disrupted by any type of weapon fire. So, just kill them quickly. I mean, if you want to let them suck up some of your health first, that's fine, but obviously you don't want to be still around when they unleash all of it. Yep, and that's what happens when you get too close to the puffers. Now, the one nice thing about being permanently in hyper mode is that we can take out the Phazon Metroids pretty easily. Now, just a very short charge shot actually will take them out. Or just mashing the button for like a second. So there's the cool blue screw attack that we saw a bit of before this. Okay, so I think there's nothing else to do in this room. We just have to go forward. So in this room, you're going to have some of these. Let's see. Yeah, hopping Metroid. So if you didn't get the scan from Norian, you can get the scan from here for that. Also be sure to scan the Phazon Tangleweed here. Or it's just Tangleweed. Simple form of plant life in which there are many species across many worlds. While each breed may have characteristics native to their respective ecology, they all possess identical behavior. Tangleweeds constantly sway their brightly colored leaves to attack potential prey to land on them. The thousands of microscopic barbs lining the tangleweed's body will snare and inject a paralyzing toxin into their victim. While small organisms are unable to escape, tangleweeds lack the strength to do anything more than hinder the movement of larger life forms. When attacked, they will retract into the ground until they no longer sense a threat. I think these things, like these growths, can only be destroyed with the Hyper Ball. So you will need to use that to take care of those. I grab this anti-Phazon energy. I think we're good to move on. Okay, so let's get to work on this one. And yeah, these Phazon hoppers will keep respawning. Ow. Get away from me. Took a lot of damage from them. I mean, luckily the game does give you a substantial amount of anti-Phazon energy. Plus there are a few locations where you have the phasings that you can use to lower your health bar, so... And of course, there are infinitely respawning Phazon puffers in this particular area as well. Alright. I think that will do it. Okay. Just double checking my scans here to make sure that we haven't missed anything. So all you have to do is hold the A button here and you'll destroy this creature. There's really nothing that you can do to get rid of it any faster because you are stuck in Morph Ball form for the time being. Let's see, are you a new scan? Doesn't look like you're actually that important of one. Oh, I just had to attack the main body of the door. Like, why aren't they doing any damage? So I think you can still use the Seeker Missile, but the game doesn't really require you to. Okay, we're gonna have a forced fight in this area. Just have to kill all of the Phazon hoppers that spawn in, and eventually the barrier that's in our way there will disappear. course, we have the added benefit of being in hyper mode, which makes this a little bit easier than it would be otherwise. Okay, so here's some more phase in. So make sure to, oops, there we go. Unload some of your energy. Alright. So we are making our way downwards. If you take a look at the map, you can see we're kind of dropping down. Sometimes really quickly, other times a little bit more slowly, but getting closer to the enemy. So with this enemy here, it's going to grab you. Basically, you just have to keep doing damage to it. If you don't kill it quickly enough, it will do a sizable chunk of damage to your health bar, so you can just mash the button. That will work. You can also use hyper missiles, I think will also work fairly effectively. Just don't, take too long to get rid of it. There are some mini-roids here if you didn't get the scan on the Valhalla. Okay, so we have finally made our way to, yep, hey there. Actually, I haven't demonstrated that before, but Hyperball is fairly effective at taking out the Phazon Metroids, but welcome to the Genesis Chamber. So in this room, we actually have an infant Leviathan, so make sure that you scan the Leviathan. It's the small little thing that's swimming around. Can be hard to target it because you have the entire growth around it that it's kind of living in. So this is a Leviathan infant, a Leviathan in early development. Phazon within is highly unstable. Leviathans are the children of Phaaze. They are bioforms that begin life deep within the planet, inside the base of a serpentine organ that serves as a womb. The Leviathan will remain here, feeding on an endless supply of Phazon until it has developed its Phazon core. The developed core marks the Leviathan's transition into adolescence and its departure from the womb. The serpentine organ moves the adolescent from deep inside Phaaze and releases it closer to the planet's surface. Here, the bioform will continue to grow and mature beneath its older siblings. As time passes and the older ones are launched into space, the Leviathan will slowly make its way to the planet's surface. It is here the Leviathan will reach full maturity. Once Phaaze has located a planetary target to corrupt, it will launch the Leviathan into space. The Leviathan is capable of interstellar travel, creating wormholes in space to expedite the journey. Instinctively, it homes in on its planetary target. Shortly after impact, the bioform dies, leaving an armored shell to protect the Phazon core. Before it dies, the bioform often attracts and enthralls a large local predator. After mutating it through intense Phazon exposure, it compels the creature to protect the core. The core then begins to seep into the planet, replacing the local ecosystem with one based on Phazon. Yep, I did not target that Phazon Metroid quickly enough. So, with the Leviathan, or the Leviathan infant here, we're going to need to destroy it to progress. Now, it will swap sides between this side and the other side, periodically. So, whenever it disappears, just head to the other side, so we can start targeting again. It's going to take a lot of shots to get rid of it. I recommend just kind of either using charge shots or mashing the A button over using like hyper missiles. Because technically hyper missiles do a lot of damage, but I think you can get more damage in. Oh my goodness, stop spawning Metroids. Yeah, the Metroids, in case you couldn't tell, are infinitely respawning. But I think you can get more damage in by just shooting at it really fast. Other than that, just don't touch the floor here. It does hurt you. Now, and so there are gel stacks that keep respawning on the other side whenever you leave it. So one thing you have to be cognizant of. No, it didn't actually swim away. Swim away! Okay, so once you defeat it, you get a ton of anti-Phazon energy, and as long as you're not too high on energy, like below half, it'll usually get you to about 0. So now I'm gonna check the logbook quickly to make sure that we haven't missed any scans before we go into the final fight. So I'll be back once I've confirmed that we've gotten everything. Alright, so that is everything. We are ready to head into the final fight. So without any further ado, let's jump in. Hey, Dark Samus, long time no see. So, starting off the fight, Dark Samus is a pretty formidable foe, being the final boss and everything. She's been upgraded from Prime 2, now she's the final boss instead of just being a recurring boss. So she is a Phazon-based entity disrupted by hypermode attacks. Target is composed of pure Phazon energy and is highly unstable. Scans indicate that hypermode attacks are capable of disrupting her, likely a result of hypermode being energized by Samus's body. Dark Samus is capable of generating echoes of herself to aid her in battle. These units will be used as increased firepower and act as distractions while she replenishes her energy. They should be destroyed immediately. She is capable of absorbing energy from Phaaze to replenish her own. So, basic strategy, attack her with Phazon-based attacks. I think she will repel missiles. Yep, so that is still a thing that she retains from Prime 2. So just use your regular beam or charge shots against her. Now what she will do in this fight is when she goes up and starts doing this, she's going to gather energy from Phaaze and it will actually replenish her health bars. So you're going to want to take her out of this state as quickly as possible by, of course, shooting her and getting her back on the ground. Now, a lot of her arsenal is fairly similar to other fights. The one thing that is different, though, is that she spawns in echoes of herself. Now, you can take on one of two strategies here with these echoes. If you destroy them, then you'll decrease the amount of attacks that you have to deal with, and it'll make your life a little bit easier. What she can do with the echoes sometimes, if you leave them alive, is she will combine with them, and it will make her invulnerable to damage until she's split back up again. So, here, I'll let it happen. So I'll just keep going after her instead of targeting all of them. So she's going to combine together, and I can't damage her while she's in this state. While she is doing the replenish her health move, where she does that move, you definitely want to target the main Dark Samus body there, because if you try to deal with the other one, she will just keep replenishing her health, and that's not what you want her to do. So use your X-ray visor to figure out which one is the real Dark Samus. It's usually difficult to take out all two of the clones before she combines, so it may be easier to just go after Dark Samus directly instead of taking them out once she starts spawning in 3. Yeah, just get in what damage you can until she does the recombining trick. She will also do this attack where she kind of does figure eights with herself. The nice thing about this attack, though, is that you can actually get some good damage and probably destroy some of the clones. I didn't actually have such good luck there, but just, you know, take out all of her health, and that will be the end of this phase of the fight. It's not the end of the entire fight, however. She has a little trick up her sleeve. Namely, Aurora Unit 313. So remember when we got that secret message on the Valhalla that the Aurora unit had been taken. But, you know, it didn't actually... Well, it gave us a bit of a hint that it was actually taken here to Phaaze. So, the Aurora unit will technically be the final boss. It's still Dark Samus inside of it controlling it, so there is that. Hatch on its head protects core, damage core to sever cables. Aurora 313 has somehow been fused with the bioessence of Dark Samus. While combat shields protect most of the unit, a weak spot has been detected at the cable junction. Damaging the unit's core will expose this point, but the core itself is protected by an armored hatch. Tentacle ports can be damaged to initiate stunning cerebral feedback pulses within the target. While incapacitated, the hatch will be unprotected and able to be pulled open. This unit has been heavily mutated by Phazon exposure. It appears to be symbiotically connected to the planet Phaaze as well. And that is the last scan. So that should be the last scan in our logbook. So the Aurora unit has quite a few attacks. As far as this laser one goes, it's going to go kind of back and forth. Just dash whenever it's not, you know, close to where you're standing. The way that you initiate the stun is either you can attack the ports on its head after attacking the tentacles. There's also a little thing that kind of pops out every now and then that if you hit that will actually instantly get you the stun. There is a good way of taking this out in terms of like getting the max amount of damage. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I know it involves using your hyper missiles some. So hopefully it will show us some of its other attacks. And there we go. This will be one. Okay, so it's spawning some Dark Samus clones. Just take care of these quickly. They don't have a lot of health, but they can be a nuisance. Yep. Yeah, so that little extension is not out for a very long time, so you have to be very fast to hit it. If you can, I mean, the effort is obviously worth it. But if you just want to go for the safe method, just, you know, attack the tentacles. It will occasionally drop anti-Phazon energy. Definitely pick that up, because that's basically your only way of getting your health back down at this point. Because during this fight, as in, you know, the rest of Phaaze, your health bar is continuously going up. So yeah, you have to be quick here in terms of taking it out quickly. So I'm probably not going to have any luck with that little arm coming out. But we're probably not going to get it on this one if I had to guess. Yeah, okay, one more. If you can take care of these clones before they actually split up, you can dispatch them pretty quickly. So definitely try to charge up if you see that attack coming, because you can dispatch them pretty easily. Oh, I think the Dark Samus clones do drop the anti-Phazon energy, so that's where that's coming from. Haha, I got it. Okay, so that stun attack just it's not guaranteed to put it into this state, but it will kind of make it swing back and forth and, you know, give you a lot of free hits. So it is basically a guaranteed thing. So taking out the first health bar, however, is not enough. So it's now kind of flying in the air, but the severed cable leaves behind a weak point. So I think the scan is the same. Yeah. So it's gonna change up the strategy a little bit. Whenever it tries to drop this bomb, shoot the bomb quickly, and you will get a stun on it, and that'll allow you to get behind it and attack the head. If the bomb goes off, it can do a sizable amount of damage to you, so it's definitely in your best interest to not let that happen. You can also attack the head in some other situations as well. Oh, stun yourself, thank you. Yeah, wasn't fast enough. Yeah, so that bomb is probably going to be your main way of getting stun on it. Really doing that one a lot. I mean, I can't complain about it. It does have some other attacks which are a little bit more annoying to deal with, and getting in a lot of damage on these. Here we go. Giant laser beams. So actually with this attack, when it turns around and it's not facing you, you can actually get hits in. And that is it. There's also one other attack that it can do where it will kind of go down on the ground and spin around and try to ram into you. And you can also get some damage in during that attack as well. That is the end of Dark Samus. And with it, all of Phazon actually disappears. So the Phazon inside Samus's body is now gone. We get to see the hazard suit and the PD suit with no corruption. But that also means that Phaaze is kind of gonna collapse or blow up. Now, it would be kind of cool if they had an escape sequence in here.
Sir, we have confirmed unstable energy spikes in multiple locations on the planet. It's a chain reaction. It's accelerating. The planet is going to explode.
I can see why they didn't, because there are a lot of situations.
Retreat. Activate the Leviathan's warp field. Get us out of here.
Like, there are a lot of situations where you kind of fall down and there would be no way for Samus to get back up. And they could technically put in wall jump surfaces, but I can see why they didn't do the escape here. The only sad thing, though, is that this is one of the few Metroid games that actually does not have an escape sequence in it. You know, one of the other ones being Metroid 2. And, of course, the game also wants it to be ambiguous whether or not Samus survives. But there you go. There's your chain reaction. Accelerating. The planet's going to explode. Well, it exploded. And luckily, everyone got out. Everyone except Samus. Until, you know, she actually shows up in about a minute.
Damage reports coming in. We've lost 37% of the fleet. Half of the surviving ships are reporting heavy casualties.
Sir, we've confirmed the wormhole has disappeared. All the Leviathans are gone. The crisis is over.
What about Samus?
Negative, sir. No contact.
They're able to do the fake out for, you know, all of 15 seconds.
Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Samus's ship.
I'm tempted to put the mission complete clip that Fox says in Melee there. But apparently between, when she escaped and now Samus had time to take off the PED and hazard suits. So this here is the 75% ending. So you'll get this for getting 75% of the items. And Samus will be Skytown, reminiscing about the other hunters. And that is Metroid Prime 3. So thank you very much for sticking with me if you've been watching through the whole Let's Play. Doing the Metroid Prime trilogy has always been something that I've wanted to do. As the Let's Play series, so I'm very happy that I was able to get around and do it. It's been, kind of a long road in the grand scheme of things. If you add up all the parts, it'd be, I think, 22 for Prime 1, 32 for Prime 2, and then this will be 36. So, if you put them all together, it's been going on for a long time. The games themselves, aren't necessarily the longest games, but I definitely think they have a lot of replayability, especially if you go for item completion or you try to get everything in the logbooks. So, that and they're just, really fun games to try to go back and beat. They're all pretty good speed games if you're into speed running. So on a more personal note, as far as the LPs go, I thought they were pretty solid. There were a few shakier times, and this is mostly just me personally nitpicking at flubbing words or that kind of thing. There are certain times when I think maybe my commentary wasn't as good, but for all the hurdles, I definitely am glad that I did all the games in the series. And they have great music, they have great visual design, and I think as far as the whole arc goes, now the game's talking right now, maybe I shouldn't talk over it.
However, in the vast regions of space, this victory is just a twinkle of a star, spreading the light of hope through the darkness.
The game's really quiet there. I may have to put subtitles up or something so that you can actually know what's being said. But the Prime trilogy is a really great arc, and I think Retro did a good job of tying the games together in terms of having the theme kind of consistent across them, in terms of there being Phazon there. I think it was a really neat touch that they provided additional insight to the previous two games, being that the meteors that impacted the planets in those games were actually Leviathans. You just didn't know about it yet. I think there's also a really nice through line with the whole Dark Samus thing. Dark Samus being born from Metroid Prime and then kind of being a secondary antagonist in Prime 2 and then kind of being the main antagonist of this game. So I honestly was not expecting them to go and make another Prime game. I thought that, the trilogy kind of wrapped up pretty nicely. It was this really nice self-contained thing. So, we'll have to see what they do with Prime 4. I'm hoping that they'll take it kind of in its own direction from this, and obviously not involve Phazon at all because it's been destroyed. But so I'm looking forward to it. With a little bit of I'm excited. I'm also a little bit nervous just because it's not Retro developing it. I mean, it is still Nintendo, so at the very least, I'm really hoping that it won't be bad. The question will kind of be, is it up to snuff with the rest of the series? As far as the first trilogy goes, I would say that Prime is probably my favorite game in the trilogy, followed by Prime 2 and then Prime 3. It's not that any of them are necessarily bad. I think the freedom that you get in Prime in terms of exploration, the game doesn't really hold your hand as much. Is a little bit more true to the kind of Metroid style of exploration than Prime 2, and then Prime 3 is even more kind of restrictive in its design in terms of forcing you into a certain path. I mean, there are ways to break each of the games, of course, but what we are watching right now is the I think this is actually part of the 75% ending. Actually, no, this is the 100% ending. So everything after the credits you will only see if you get all of the items. Let's see Samus leaving Elysia, but she's being followed. So this is the Delano 7. It is a bounty hunter named Silex's ship, and he's actually a character from Metroid Prime Hunters, which, it exists. The multiplayer was fun while it was still active. The single player wasn't too great, but I mean, they did create a lot of characters for it, so we could see some of them come back. Like I think at least some of the plot of Prime 4 is going to revolve around Silex and Samus, so there is that. So our final time was 8 hours and 52 minutes. That's a bit slower than I was kind of hoping it would be, and part of that is because of blunders on my my part, because I was trying to come up with a streamlined route for getting all the items and not making sure I missed scans, but obviously I had to miss scans and go back for them and that kind of thing. So it's not terrible, but it could be better. So choosing to save now will finish this game. When you select your save slot again, you will start a new game. So with that, that's going to do it for this episode. I decided to keep this finale kind of long and all together, which is something that I don't usually do very often, so hope you enjoyed the really long video. But that will do it for this episode and the LP. Of course, there is still the bonus video to go through, all the content that we haven't seen yet, so I will do that in its own separate thing, though. So thank you very much for watching. I've been redxparasite, signing out.